Have you ever worked extremely hard on a project? And I'm talking about like you're spending hours on mind maps, roughs, research, mood boards, sketches, roughs, comps, thumbnails, etc. And like when it's finally time to get feedback from your manager or your client, you hear nothing but vague comments like, I don't like it. I know it, I'll know it when I see it. Just play around with it. This feels, well, you're not alone because I have received this kind of feedback more times than I can count. And if only I knew how to communicate my ideas better in the past, or if my boss or marketing manager had shared more specific feedback with me, I feel like my designs would have been better and approved faster with less headache. So today we're diving into the wonderful world of design feedback, aka design critique, aka the backbone of this channel. So I'm going to define and discuss how awesome and helpful design feedback can be and why it's important for you to know all of this stuff for when you go into a meeting, for when you ask your boss or your mentor helpful tips on how to make your design better, or if you're asking a trusted design friend exactly what you need help with. I will also give helpful feedback tips throughout this video so that you get to bring this knowledge into your meeting or your Zoom call on Monday. So what is design feedback? I'm so glad you asked. So design feedback is basically an honest review of someone's design work. So for example, this is something that I made for myself. This is just not a project. This is just something I wanted to make. I'm just using this as an example. So design feedback is basically an honest review of someone's design. So if I brought this to you, or my boss, or a trusted friend who I know knows design well, and I'm like, hey, do you mind taking a look at this and just letting me, can you let me know if this typography choice makes sense? Or like, am I communicating the right thing to the right audience? Or even like, is my design effective overall? And hopefully you, my boss, or my trusted design friend would be able to give me some suggestions that I could use to edit my work. It's super simple. Okay, so write this down. Effective design feedback should be specific, constructive, and focused on actionable improvements. So design feedback should help you refine, make those good edits, and maybe even come up with different or new ideas. And when you listen to the trusted wisdom of those around you, taking in all of that feedback helps create something that fulfills the brief, if you have one, meet the needs and expectations of your target market or target audience, and it helps whoever you're working for make money, which also helps you make money. And in short, I believe that helpful design feedback makes the design better and in turn makes the designer better. Design feedback is similar to constructive critique. They're like sisters to me and I use them interchangeably. But for the sake of this video, I'm just sticking to design feedback, the cooler, younger sister. So you might probably be thinking, well, what about constructive criticism? Is design feedback the same thing as constructive criticism? In short, no. And I will get into that later. So when we talk about design feedback, it usually covers 3 areas of your work. So first of all, we're looking at the visual appeal. So this is probably the biggest point because the visuals are the first thing you see, obviously. So when you present your first draft of your design, you'll often hear comments concerning the typography, the imagery, the color scheme, and the overall design composition. And so here is where you might hear feedback like, this looks great, but the colors don't really feel like they're in the same color scheme. So if you just kind of if you want to look into muted colors, I think that will work better for what you're going for. So number 2, design feedback typically covers clarity and communication. Guess what? As designers, our job is not to make things pretty. It is not to make things pop. I said it. Our job as creatives is to effectively and clearly communicate using visual assets. Say I design the most beautiful flyer you've ever seen in your whole life, but if you can't read it, then I didn't do my job. And on the other side of that, if I create a simple, easy to read flyer, but the hierarchy's off and it looks ugly, I didn't do my job either. I'll probably be rethinking my career choice at this point. For feedback on clarity and communication, you'll probably hear something like, adjust the hierarchy on the event name so that it stands out more, or like, just take this sentence out, it's muddying the message. And number 3, design feedback typically covers brand consistency. So this one is the easiest one for me because I love rules. So let's say you're designing a package for your favorite supplement brand and you just make whatever the heck you want and it goes completely against their brand guidelines. Like if you make this bottle this color, someone might immediately tell you that's not on brand. We are an academically focused supplement company. We are not a Gen Z focused supplement company. And that's totally fair. They'll also probably let you know if you're using the correct logo, the correct colors, the correct guidelines, and the correct tone of voice if you're using any copy. And this one's this one's the easiest one. Is the logo there? Yes. Are the colors consistent? Yes. Is the copy in line with the brand's tone of voice? All right. Done. We're done. So I want you to keep this in mind. Overall, when we give feedback or we critique other people's work, you're gonna hear it from me first. We always want to focus on being clear, specific, actionable, and respectful. We're professionals out here in these streets. And hopefully I do all of these things in my review videos. That is my goal. I say all this because this is something that I wish I knew starting out as a graphic designer, and I just hope, like, if this video impacts you, just you, then it was worth it. Knowing how to give helpful design feedback is like a third of being a creative. It's like a third of the job. And if you find that this is the area that you struggle the most in, might I just give you some encouragement and say that you probably just don't practice enough? That didn't sound very encouraging, but when you're consistently challenged to be clear, specific, actionable, and respectful, like, it's like flexing a muscle. It's like riding a bike. It's like doing push-ups. Does it get easier? I don't know, but well, yes, it does get easier. Is it still gonna be hard? Yes, it's still gonna be hard, but it will get easier. A key point, I don't know how to organize this. Like, a key point that I have for design feedback is that you need feedback. You need it. You can't design in a vacuum. You are not a lone wolf designer. You can't just open up Illustrator and just put whatever you want on there. You need inspiration, you need other people, and you need those perspectives. I highly recommend that you should always be asking people with very different perspectives their opinions, their feedback. Like, YouTube is great for learning a lot of things, and being self-taught is awesome, but please find communities who want to help you. We don't need any more bad design, because when you don't get feedback, you get garbage. You get garbage. Like, who approved this? Like, how did this get through maybe rounds of revisions? Or maybe 0 rounds. You can just put anything on the internet these days. Did you know that? These could have all been avoided if the designers got feedback from other perspectives, or if they listened to the wise words of other trusted creatives. But unfortunately, they exist. Because you might not even be aware that you're making something suggestive without getting 1 or 2 other people's perspectives on it. So please. By the way, you're not a designer if you haven't done this by accident. So no blame, no shame. Just, we've all been there. I will say that there is some humility that comes along with asking for feedback, because it is asking for help in a way. But I mean, humility is not even a bad thing. Like, just asking for help and saying that, like, hey, I need your eyes because I don't know what you know. If there's something that you know that I should be avoiding, please tell me. I get so paranoid because I've seen so many marketing fails. Like, I'm like, I don't even know what's out there these days. Like, information and designs are coming through at breakneck speed that I can't keep up. So having other people's input and their feedback is such, like, it's priceless. Even the best of the best designers ask for feedback. And like I said, when the design gets better, the designer is better. A lot of times I have to remind myself that even though it's super uncomfy having my work torn to shreds some days, it's part of the job. It just is. I'm not being chased by lions. It's just words. And if it's done well, it's not even towards me as a person. It's about it's about my work and how I can make it better. And when it's about that, like, rest easy, you're easy breezy. So my second key point here is that feedback needs to be impersonal, and that can be hard for a lot of people, myself included. I used to do this, but now I don't because I understand the difference. So I'm going to stop here and save this key point for a later video where I break down the difference between design feedback versus constructive criticism and what that means for you on Monday. So in my schedule, just letting you know, I'm planning a review video for next week, and then after that will be the part 2 to this topic. And if you want to get notified for the video, subscribe and then click the bell. I don't know where it is yet. I still feel new here. Don't forget to share this video with a fellow designer and let me know in the comments if you have any questions or feedback, or if you just found this video helpful. That is so great for me to hear. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video.